The Orioles, because of the fact I think the two teams are just as good, but the Orioles managed to win, which in turn makes me think, man, the Orioles have been really annoying. I think really annoying. For these two series they've played, I don't know how else to describe it.
The Mariners are 2-4 on the year against the Orioles. All 4 games that they have lost have been just excruciating losses. They've been nails on a chalkboard type losses. All 4 of them. You remember the series back in Baltimore? The 2 games they lost then were really painful to watch. And man, the 2 this weekend. Oof.
They've lost to the Orioles 3 times in the 10th inning and the other time by 1 single run. Now, if I described a team that got outscored across 6 games by, 13 runs. The Mariners outscored the Orioles this year 31-18, won the season series 4-2, 3 of them in extra innings, 1 of them by 1 run. What team do you think of?
Well, you would think it would be the team with the better run differential, which is part of what makes me sit here and scratch my head about the Orioles. So the Orioles' run differential this year is in the 60s, so it's plus 65 about. But I'm sitting here, and maybe this is a take, I'm sitting here looking at this Orioles team. Are they not a slightly better version of the 2021 Mariners in the sense of they win a lot of close games, their bullpen's really good, their offense is fine, not great, it's probably better than the 21 Mariners offense was, but their expected win total, if you look at expected win-loss and their Pythagorean win total, 90 wins. This is the team with the most wins in the American League. They're already at 70-plus wins, and their expected win-loss total for the season is expected to be 90, same amount of games that the Mariners won in 2021. So something here just gets my blood boiling.
Couple things with this. Orioles, I think, are a little younger than the 21 Mariners. They have a little bit more star power as well. And the back end of the bullpen is a little bit better than that 21 Mariners team. And I think that makes a big difference because it definitely made a big difference in the games they were playing this season. The Mariners got 1 home run off of King Felix Bautista this year, courtesy of Mike Ford. But otherwise, you saw it there on Saturday night. Orioles just let him go out there and win the game. Mariners don't have that caliber of arm in the bullpen because Andres Munoz sure hasn't pitched like it. And not to that caliber, neither has Matt Brash, especially after what he did tonight in Kansas City. So that's a difference right there. 2 innings of utter dominance where the other team has no chance.
I'm making you take back the King Felix thing.
Sorry, that was kind of sarcastic. It was kind of sarcastic.
Well, for those who are listening and maybe can't hear the tone of your voice, I hope you are here publicly taking that back because unacceptable.
Sorry, we can have Softy on and tell me I'm full of shit. That's fine.
Yeah, like we said, we're going to have to get Softy back on at some point, especially after this Orioles series and all that. So the thing about the Orioles bullpen is you're right that there's more firepower at the back end than the 21 Mariners had. Don't get us wrong. Casey Sadler, Drew Steckenrider, Paul Sewald that year were awesome. Casey Sadler's ERA was below 0.7 in 2021. But they were not the type of arms that Felix Bautista was, or maybe even Yenier Cano. Those 2 guys, when it's 8 and 9, or like on Saturday when Bautista went 2 innings in the 9th and 10th, it just feels like game over. It feels like games are shortened to 7 innings with those guys because they're so locked down.
But seemingly the only team that doesn't really seem to care about is that is the Astros, which really just twinges the heartstrings here.
It's true. Although if you look by the numbers, the Orioles and Mariners this season, in terms of how they compare, it's pretty close. And there's an argument to be made the Mariners are better. These teams are 13th and 14th in WRC+, so they're neck and neck offensively. The Mariners are the better rotation, clearly. And in terms of bullpen, it's pretty close too. So if you look at ERA, the Mariners have the edge. If you look at FIP and FWAR, the Orioles have the edge. But it's close. I mean, these are both top 5 bullpen units. There's an argument to be made. The Mariners are the better team here, but one way or another, it is really close. And we're talking about the team with the most wins in the American League in the Orioles, and a team that's currently on the outside looking in the Mariners, who have finally started to get hot over the last month. It doesn't feel like the gap is that big. It really doesn't.
And you think about truly executing your game plan. So here's the combined numbers of Adley Rutschman, Anthony Santander, and Gunnar Henderson this weekend. Adley was 1 for 14. Santander was 2 for 14. Gunnar Henderson was 0 for 10 this weekend. Now, you're going into this weekend and you're like, I'm circling 3 names in the lineup that we want to keep down and that we want to go after. Well, they did that for the most part. Like, they did their job on the mound to shut down the Orioles, but it didn't really seem to matter, mostly because Cedric Mullins, dude, he's on my shit list now. I've confirmed. I had never had a problem with Cedric Mullins, and personally, absolutely don't have a problem with Cedric Mullins, but he's on my shit list because of Sunday now.
Just objectively talking, I think he is supposed to be an A-plus dude. So it's not real hate that we have towards Cedric Mullins, but the pure pain he caused all Mariners fans on Sunday, that's where it's stemming from. I mean, that was the catch of the year that he made against Ty France. I haven't seen a better catch this season.
Like, the game was won. The Mariners won the game. The ball was over the fence.
Well, that would have tied it. Canzone's homer in that scenario, if it goes out, wins it. But you're right that essentially they would have had back-to-back home runs to win it, and Mullins went way over the wall to take that thing back. My goodness. And then he comes up in extras, hits a ball 1,000,000 feet foul, and we're like, whew, that almost went out. Man, that would have been bad. And then a couple pitches later, he actually straightens it out and just yanks one over the yard.
Sad. That's all I have to say. Sad. But good job for the Orioles, man. I mean, they are the most clutch team in baseball. There's no what's the right word? It's no mystery why they've won all these close games. They're 22-11, I believe now, in one-run games. And, you know, as we've seen as Mariner fans the last couple of years, sometimes you don't have to be overwhelmingly better than the opponent. You just need to do all the little things right when it matters the most. And in these 6 games between the Orioles and the Mariners, Orioles have really put on a masterclass of doing the little things right when it matters to most. I mean, just look at how they originally took the lead on Sunday. I mean, throw out the bullshit balk call. But we're just talking about a play at the plate where there's an exact right read by, was Mateo on third base?
Yeah, it was Jorge Mateo.
Yeah, Mateo's on third base, and it hits a little dribbler back to Munoz. I mean, Munoz executes his pitch, gets awful contact off of it, and just dribbled in the exact right spot to his left, and allows Mateo to come home and score by this much, by a hair length. But that's what sometimes these teams do. You don't need to overpower them. You just need to do the right things at the right times, and you'll win games, and the Orioles have done that.
Game of inches, they say it, and it could not have rained more true than this weekend between the bunt, the robbed homer. I mean, even on Saturday when the Mariners stranded a few on base when they had chances to score. Whew, game of inches. Yes, the Orioles are very annoying. Good team, and they've deserved everything they've gotten this year. But man, they have been a pain in the rear end of the Mariners.